Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the very next episode of The Remedy with Tova Sido and
Janice Gaunt and
Tom Bridwell.
Tom, where's your bucket hat today?
Oh,
I'm confused.
my hair is finally long enough to tuck behind my ears, and so I'm wearing hats less.
yeah.
So that...
Yeah, I noticed that your hair looked good. We all had lunch together.
Yes, a very pleasant lunch
It
today.
was most pleasant.
Okay, we got to thank our sponsor today, Frances Mitchell, my dear, precious friend, Frances Mitchell, who loves The Remedy.
So nice.
Oh, so nice of her.
I
So
know.
she made a nice, very generous donation at the beginning of the year to say thank you for all we're doing here. And so thank you, Frances. Frances is starting a school.
Oh, where?
It's going to be off of Lover's Lane. It's going to be like a preschool, but every year they'll add a grade.
Is it a charter school? Is that what he's doing? Is that what
going to be
she's
like
doing?
a private, non-denominational. It's not like specifically religious, but she believes, and I love it. You'll love this. She believes that the mental health component is really missing from education, and so that's going to be a big component for her school.
Good.
Yeah, so
Nice.
we'll say more about it as it comes along.
Yeah, that's
but
really interesting.
super cool. She's really into emotional and mental, spiritual health, and something that not all schools invest in. So
That's right.
Yep,
That's exactly
love
right.
it.
Good.
Okay, it's cold outside today.
It is. We're waiting for the ice to come.
Yes, we have to hurry and record so that we can get home.
Or we're going to spend the night here with Tom and Maureen and Betty.
Tom, do you have extra places for us to sleep?
Absolutely. We have a Jack and Jill upstairs with y'all's name on it.
Perf.
Good.
Extra toothbrush, clean one, preferably. Okay, today on The Remedy, we are going to talk about 12 life rules that your kids need to understand before they leave home.
And who wrote this?
So this is an article that was sent to me by a dear friend on Twitter, and it's written by a guy named David Morris.
Uh-huh.
I don't know who he is.
Me neither.
But he said in a few months, and he obviously has a lot of followers because a lot of people liked his thing. But it says, in a few months, my second child will leave home. The day will come when your kids will leave too, sooner than you think. Ain't that the truth? Mm-hmm. You'll be left wondering, did I do enough? There's no time to wait. Here are 12 life rules I've spent years driving home. Steal them or make your own list.
Love that.
Yeah. So we'll go through these 12 and would love to, we're going to chat about all of them. We're going to do 6 this episode, and then we're going to do 6 next week.
Perfect.
So, and then maybe if there's something we feel like is missing from the list, I don't know, maybe there's not. I'm sure there is in our minds, but I loved this list. I got a lot out of it, and it was like a lot of the same things. I think that, I know I've tried to drive home.
Uh-huh.
It'll be interesting if it was something that you tried to drive home with your 3 girls. And then Tom, where you fall with cute little Betty at 8 years old.
Yeah.
Are these things that are going to be, that speak to you as a dad, as a young dad?
Yeah. Are you terrified, Tom?
Not yet. I still have 10 or 11 years to go, but I definitely am curious to hear about this list because I'm going to be taking notes for sure.
You actually only have 4 years to go.
Yeah. Sorry.
4 or 5
before the terror comes in.
And she checks out and you become the dumbest person on the planet.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
Dad.
Exactly.
Okay, so the first one is this. Hard work is never wasted. He said, I want my kids to see hard work as an end, not a means. Even if you don't hit your desired outcome, the act of doing the work is formational. It strengthens who you are. When you love putting in the work, there's nothing you can't accomplish.
I love that.
Why?
Well, because I think that I might change a little bit and think a sustained effort.
Oh, that's great.
Because I think that, so when I was younger, I sang a lot, and I was like an all-state alto and member of the all-state choir in Texas, and there. So that took a lot of effort, and it was really fun, and I loved it. However, I did not have the element of talent to be on Broadway or to be a recording artist. And so I think that that sometimes our goals are not reachable, because like for me, my talent, I had some talent, but it was not nearly enough if those were my attained goals. So I think that to think that if I work hard it will always happen is not really legit.
So true. That's so true. Like, effort doesn't always match outcome.
Right. And especially the outcome that you enter in with, and thinking if I just hang in there and work hard enough and hard enough and hard enough, that will happen. So I think that it's
so true.
It's the sustained effort on something that is there are benefits for that, and not giving up and saying, okay, well, I can't do it anyway, so I'm not going to even try. I'm not even going to sing in the choir. So you have to keep that in mind, I think, with some of that.
It's such a great point. I've thought about, when I was reading this, I couldn't help but think the times where I wasn't living up to my potential, or I wasn't leaning into my potential, and I was just kind of skating by.
Right.
I wasn't as happy. I wasn't as content. I like the word content. I know a lot of people think that's like a soft word, or like why would you want to be content? Like, don't you want so much more than that? I love the word content.
I agree with you. I think that helps people's mental state.
Well, and it manages expectations, and you're right. Like, I think everybody at some point wanted to be an Olympian, a famous rock star, Beyonce, professional football player. And, I'm watching that with my boys. Carter was, he could not have tried harder to be an excellent football player. And he is a phenomenal quarterback. But he did not, D1 Big 12 schools were not banging down his door.
Was it because of his size?
No, he's 6'1".
No, that's right.
Yeah, and he's big and he's talented. It's just there's a lot of really talented football players out there, And so for him, I think, it was a very humbling experience, because it was his goal. Like, he thought he was going to the NFL when he was 7 years old.
Yeah.
They all do.
And he could have.
Yeah. But they all think that, know? But then there comes a point where it's like, okay, you made All-State and you were a really good singer, but you're not going to be.
No.
You're not going to be racking in billions of dollars on it. You're not J-Lo.
No, I'm not.
I watched her documentary. That was fun.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Is it really good?
It's really good.
Oh, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah. But, her mantra is like, go be me. Like, if you look up to me, like, do the hard work. But it's like, there is a little girl out there who's doing all the things that Beyonce did, and she's not going to be Beyonce.
Yes, I think that's right. And I think that is important, that we don't set our kids up for absolute devastation if they don't attain a certain level of performance.
Totally. And be so proud of their sustained effort.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I agree with that. Tom, any thoughts about that?
I'm experiencing this right now with Betty. She's obsessed with singing and wants to be the next Taylor Swift.
So do I.
But I don't think she quite grasps the work that goes into it. You have to learn how to play an instrument so that you can then write songs, and you have to learn how to write songs because you have to have something to say, and then you have to just continually, like every single day, grind it out, and she doesn't know that that's coming, and yeah.
So, Tom, because of your musical history and what you do with your studio and recording people, so what do you say to her? And when do you know that her goal may not be attainable?
She just recently wanted to stop taking piano lessons. I think since y'all have been here, I told y'all she takes piano lessons, and now she doesn't. She wants to just do singing, and there's really nothing to do if you don't. I mean, the only way you can sing is just to turn on music and sing along if you're not going to put in the work to learn an instrument. So I've kind of don't really know what to tell her, except that if she doesn't want to play piano, doesn't want to learn piano, that I guess maybe she doesn't want to be Taylor Swift as much as she thought. It's kind of hard to hear that, and maybe harsh for a 7-year-old especially, but
Well, so do you play piano?
I don't, but I do remember when I was about 7 or 8 when I got into the drums, and I wanted to play so bad that my parents weren't immediately going to just go out and buy me a drum set. So in order to learn how to play drums, but also show my parents that I really cared, I took my skateboard, which was no longer cool, and there's these 2 plastic rails on the bottom of it. They're called rails, and you can screw them off. And I undid the screws out of the rails, and those 2 plastic rails were my drumsticks.
Oh, how
And then
funny.
I went and got all of the throw pillows on the couch in the playroom, and I got belts out of my closet and strapped the pillows to my bunk bed. So I had like 4 or 5 pillows on the bottom bunk, and then I strapped 4 or 5 smaller pillows to the guardrail of my top bunk. And I would basically beat on these pillows pretending they were drums. I mean, we're talking for like 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
And I was teaching myself, I was watching MTV out of the corner of my eye, emulating what I was seeing, all those hair bands like Poison. And I grew up in a weird time, but the hair bands were popular when I was getting into music. So
the hair bands were on their way out. We were the hair bands generation.
Well, true. I guess what I mean is the glam rock, like that cheesy metal from the late 80s to early 90s until the grunge thing kind of wiped them off the planet.
Yeah.
But I was watching MTV. That was my teacher. And then I was literally I created a drum set, and it was quiet. It didn't bother my parents, but I was, imagining that these pillows were the cymbals and these pillows were the drums. And by the end of a few months, I mean, I was playing along. And so when I actually did sit at my first drum set at church, I knew what to do.
Wow, that's
super
cool.
Then my parents were like, okay, this kid's serious. And so when I was a sophomore in high school, they bought me a very inexpensive used drum set from a pawn shop, and the rest is history. But I definitely put in the work. I mean, it took work, and I wanted to be doing it because, I mean, that's the thing. It wasn't work because it was so fun. And I think that Betty right now thinks of piano and learning the music theory part and doing the paper homework part. It's just not fun for her. So, until she sees it as fun and not work, I think she's going to kind of
hit the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday I went to watch Skylar, one of my granddaughters who is in 7th grade, do her dance rehearsal for her dance. And so she does the dance studio across from the gym. and it's where all the little girls most in the neighborhood are going because they definitely want to be a belle when they get to Highland Park High School. It's kind of their dream.
Yep.
And I was watching Skylar last night or yesterday afternoon, and right now she is so good that I think she could be a belle right now.
Wow.
Because she's such a good dancer. And I was thinking about it, and I thought about telling her that, and then I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I think that drive, if she thinks she's already there, then that drive might wane. So I thought, I just told her she was amazing and she looked beautiful. And, but I thought, I just think I'll just let her continue.
Keep working so
keep
hard.
Working.
Yeah. That's what great insight. And it's so true. I mean, as good as so many kids are, there's still a lot that are better.
I know.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
It
is. Yeah.
Okay, the next one is great leaders start as great followers. He says, I want my kids to be great leaders, but as a leader of others myself, I know they'll never be trusted to lead well if they can't be trusted to follow well too. Learn to put your agenda aside and give full support to someone else's vision.
Huh. Interesting.
I think when I hear this, what I like about that is, like, Carter is an incredible leader.
Uh-huh.
But he would do well to set aside his pride sometime and remember that he still has things to learn.
Yeah.
We're never done learning.
Yeah, that's true. And, then I guess what I was thinking about the following is and I do believe that it's very important that people allow themselves to be a follower and not have to take the stage all the time or whatever.
Yeah.
You just want to be careful about who you follow.
That's the most important thing of all is and I think as parents, it's something we think a lot about. Like when I worked at the church and I was youth minister, there was some study that I read that talked about how the most well-adjusted teenagers have 7 adults average who are investing in them, whether it's their parents, a coach, a trainer, a godparent, a youth minister, that the most well-rounded youth have minimum 7 adults who are investing in them and they look up to.
Uh-huh.
And I remember one time I was having dinner with Anna Print and Carter, and I asked them, whose opinion do you care the most? Like, of all the people that love you and you love, who do you care about the most, what they think about you? And Carter said his godfather.
Oh, that's really cute.
And I was like, wow. I mean, it was Del Williams. And Carter cares so much. He does not want to disappoint Del. Mm-hmm. And I know Carter doesn't want to disappoint me.
Right.
But he really doesn't want to disappoint Del.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But I can't help but think, okay, I'm grateful that my kids had more people than me. They had coaches, they had trainers,
sure.
They had youth ministers, they had godparents, they had grandparents, they had aunts and uncles. A ton of people have invested in my children over the years. I think that's really important because, like I was teasing you earlier, Tom, in 4 or 5 years, you're about to go from the smartest guy, most amazing person on the planet to the stupidest, most ridiculous, dad,
Mm-hmm.
But they're still going to be listening to others. Mm-hmm. And so investing in people who will invest in your children, I think, is really important.
Yeah, I do too. I like that.
The next one is being smart and talented is overrated. Oh, I don't know. I don't remember what he said about this. Let's read it. My kids are smart and talented. They're valedictorians, captains of sports teams, and beloved by peers, which earns them nothing in life after high school. Many smart people accomplish very little. You win with humility and hard work.
Interesting. I agree. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with being very successful early on, but I think what got
you don't want to peak.
Now, well, what
At
got
18.
you there, you don't want to think you've arrived, so you want to
Right.
continue to implement those skills.
You know, this is something when I read this, I think about those parents who are like really worried about their teenagers or really worried about their college. And I'm like, they still have so much life left.
A lot.
You know, I mean, what teenagers and or college kids like totally have it figured out? I didn't.
No, me neither. Me neither.
So
Yes, I could not agree more. I almost feel like the voting age should be raised to the drinking age. And maybe
along
both
with
should
the
be raised.
driving age. I mean, we're driving with these people, Tom.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really, I kind of feel like you don't really stop being a dumbass until you're about 25.
Well, that's because your brain's not developed till then.
Yes.
Uh-huh. It's true. Yeah, it's really true.
25 is a magical number. We shouldn't have beer,
Electric
car.
bicycles.
We should not have all of our toys before, including our personal body parts.
Yeah,
Those should not
exactly.
function before 25.
Exactly.
God did not, he didn't consult me, but if he did, I'd be like, God, can you make those parts not work on my children until they're 25 too?
I'm sure it hadn't.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just
We'll just go on.
Okay, the next one is goodness is greater than greatness. He says, I want my kids to accomplish great things, but it means little to me if they're not good people. Genuine goodness is in short supply in our world today. If my kids become adults who care more about who they are than what they accomplish, I'll die happy.
Oh, I like that.
Why?
Well, I think because I think that's about our value system and knowing what our value system is and how we want to apply that to our relationships, you know, so that to be a good person, I don't know how you would ever define that.
Yeah, or
but
quantify that?
Yeah, I don't
it's
know
hard.
about that. And but I do know that what we want to, or what I believe we want our children to understand, is that their value system will determine what their behavior is going to be, and that if they look around and they value joy and safety and friendships and the things that what I believe right now is so enriching in my life, then the greatness is kind of irrelevant. You can have both.
Sure, you
For
can.
sure. But I think just adhering to a value system that is kind and not mean,
Yeah.
you know?
I would much rather my children be kind and loving and forgiving and gracious than rich or important in the eyes of the world.
Yeah.
And I think
Famous.
that's what it's saying in so many
I
words
think so
here,
too. Yeah.
is that those values. And, you know, I there's something that I think you're really good, Janice, at teaching, helping people define their value system. Like what are the things that I value in my life? Like, do I, above all else? And then I think it's really important to align yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah, and
I value, at least it has been for me.
Yeah, I mean, they may not be like-minded with you across the board at all, you know, but
Values
but people that have a
matter
values,
to me.
and I don't think a lot of people even know what their values are.
know.
And how, so if you say, what is the most valuable thing for you? And then it changes as you get older. But to teach our children, like kindness, to say, do you value kindness? And why do you value kindness? And how does it feel when somebody is unkind? And then how important it is that we care about how our behavior affects other people.
Sure.
So it's all of that that talking about that and understanding that value system keeps us on track.
Yeah.
I never thought about anything like that until I was probably 40.
I'm wondering if I did.
I really didn't. I mean, I went, to the Baptist church, and there were a whole lot of do's and don'ts, and I kind of wanted to do all the don'ts. I kind of did. but that was, but some of the things were not necessarily in my value system, and I think that once I turned 42, when I got my divorce, was when I became my own authentic self, because I evaluated my choices in the past. So
how was that exercise for you? And how did you go about it? If you don't mind, like if somebody's like, how do I even think, like, how do I do that? If somebody hasn't done that, how would you go about helping them figure that out?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with what do you believe? What do you believe is the way to treat someone, and what is your value around money, and how important is that to you, and what about your friendships, and what do you do if you value your friends? Then what can you do to strengthen that bond so that those are long-lasting friendships? So people just understanding their value system. Like sometimes I'll have a couple that'll come in, and one of them is saying, well, I just think that the fact that he won't make up the bed or whatever is just wrong. And I'm like, well, it's just not in his value system. He doesn't. Tom will make up the bed about half the time, but he is not doing that because he wants the look.
Right.
He's doing it, but just to be kind to me. And I really appreciate it. So really the value is not a bed that's made properly, because I like it really properly made. And so it's not that value. He doesn't value that. He values me. And that is, so then you start to really identify your value system. And it's interesting because I had no idea what my value system was. And then when I got my divorce, I realized that so many of the choices that I had made were not based on my value system, it was based on others' value system.
Interesting.
And then I started really looking at it. And right now, and I guess it's about freaking time, since I'm 70, that, I totally know my value system. And I'm pretty adamant about not acting within my value system. Sometimes I kind of want to. Just be, kind of mean or something, but it's not in my value system. And so I like it now. But I mean, I guess I need to live to be 100 so I can really utilize it. But I learned what is my value and what is not in my value system.
I love how you said that, I love how you define that so clearly with Tom. Like, he doesn't care about the bed.
Right.
It's not about the bed. The bed is not in his value system, but being a good husband and what's important to you,
just kind,
is his value system, is in his value system. And so we do things that we normally may not think about or may not feel super important to us because they are like the subset of our values.
Yeah.
And that really shapes, I think those things, I mean, if I'm thinking about it, those are the things that kind of get me out of my comfort zone.
Yes.
And, I think about like baseball. I don't care about baseball. I actually hate watching baseball. But baseball has been a really important part of my children's lives and their growth. And so I will sit on every sideline,
yes,
where my boys are playing, because that's what's so important to them. And so we adopt these things that may not be necessarily what we love, but because it's what they love or what's important to the people or the things that are in our value system, we we get outside. And those are the things I think have probably stretched me the most as a person.
Yeah, I think so too.
Some of the things.
So you don't value the baseball, but what you value are George and Carter. And so that is something. And so when you're sitting on that hard bench for 3 hours and it's freezing cold or it's boiling hot.
And it's one or the other. It's never just a perfect 72 degrees with a cool breeze.
And watching baseball is not in your value system. But what happens then is that your value around your children, it one-ups the baseball. So you don't have to value baseball.
Right.
And I think that's important.
I do too. And it's challenging. I have to say that those things, like I said, have probably stretched me. It makes me be less selfish.
Yeah.
Which
are you not into baseball because it's boring to you?
Yeah. It's just
Have
that
you
simple.
Have you ever tried keeping score, like with a score pad, like an actual where you track every pitch and write? If you've ever seen a baseball score sheet before,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
That would be a way to make it less boring and go by really quickly. And I don't know.
Did you see
That would just be my suggestion, because you're right. I mean, 3 hours on a bench, if you hate the sport, that's got to be terrible.
See, I like baseball.
But actually doing a scorekeeping sheet would be a really good way to entertain yourself and probably blow your kid's mind.
Or maybe you carry in a flask and you nip on that.
That's what the other moms do. I haven't tried either one of those things quite yet, but I'm not above it.
How much white wine can you really put in a flask?
Not much.
Well, I think it's against the rules with DISD, and I don't want to be that mom that gets kicked out of the base. We heard you have a flask. We're going to need you to exit.
Madam, you are under arrest.
But I know others have.
Well, and I get that. I understand that. It would be hard for me to go to bowling tournaments. Me
too.
Yeah, but I love to watch tennis. And yesterday at that dance thing, I was in hog heaven. It was so fun watching her because I did dance for years.
Yeah,
and so it just is so interesting how that happens. But I think that what we realize and what we can cherish about ourselves is what are we really valuing, and then that makes it worth your while to sit on the bench.
Totally.
Because they'll never forget it.
Oh yeah. And the things that I have sacrificed, like I don't know if I told you this, Janice, but last semester Anna Prin just calls me out of the blue and she's like, "Mom, can you come?" Like she's at school in Atlanta, and I was like, "Come where?" And she's like, Can you just come to Atlanta for even for just a night, Ma? Like, I was like, baby, like I'm working a lot and
I have a date.
Yeah, that. And she was like, Ma, please, like even for just 24 hours. And I was like, absolutely. And so I cleared the deck and I bought a ticket and I got a hotel room. And for 36 hours, I spoiled the heck out of Anna Prin, and she just needed a reset with Mom. And like, I would never think to do that. I'd never be like, Anna Prin, can I come for 24, 36 hours but like you do things for the people and the things that are inside your value system that maybe you would never think about doing it. And I think that's really a beautiful thing about life, because I think it does call us into extending ourselves in a way that maybe I could stay home all day in my jammies and not really, and be really selfish.
Well, and that's love.
Yeah, it is love.
That is love. And love is our higher self, which is a value coming into play.
That is our greatness.
It is our greatness. I agree. I totally agree.
Okay, the next one is process is greater than results. Let's see what he says here. Results are lagging indicators. Outcomes can be overrated. When When they miss expectation, we lose heart or change course too soon. Take what you're trying to accomplish and break it down into parts. Find the parts you love, focus on them, results will follow.
Okay, read the first sentence.
I know. Results are lagging indicators. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Tom?
Got me there. Maybe.
Results are lagging indicators.
Indicators of what?
So your effort. So it's like we're trying, and then we're waiting for the result, but the trying is the thing that's greater than the result. Do you think that's what he's saying?
I don't know. Maybe.
Outcomes can be overrated. When kids, miss expectations, we lose heart or change course too soon. Take what you're trying to accomplish and break it down into parts. Find the parts you love. Focus on them. Results will follow.
Oh, I see what he's saying. He's saying that if you don't have the results you want off the bat, don't stop. That keep doing so that you may.
And there's value in the process.
And there's value in the process. And I do believe that. Mm-hmm. I think those were, the processes that I've gone through in my life were my greatest learning experiences.
Even if you didn't get the results that you set out. Like now that we say it that way, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's been so many, to me, this is kind of like unanswered prayer.
Yes.
Like we set out, we think this is what we need. If I could just get that, then I'll be great. And so we set out to accomplish something, but sometimes it just doesn't work out the way that we imagined or wanted or prayed for. And yet there's still value in the process.
Yeah.
The internet says lagging indicators take a long time to change and show the latter stage results of your efforts. Leading indicators, on the other hand, measure the activities you think will help you reach your goal. The activities you think will help you reach your goal and can be tracked on a more ongoing basis.
Oh. Okay, so the lagging is what it's really not getting you where you want to go. Correct?
I think it's like looking back on your progress.
And finding the value of the process versus only looking at the results as whether or not the process was valuable.
It's essentially, it's the process. It's paying attention to the
Trust the
grading
process.
yourself periodically as you do it rather than
only
the results
looking
at the
at
end.
the results.
I'd really had to do a lot of that when I was finishing this book. And I just had to get more words and I needed it to be longer and all of that. And it was just, there were times when I just wanted to shut my computer and just say, forget it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But really that was a huge learning experience for me. Because I would sit at that time, I would type, and I would have only 200 words or something when I needed another 1,000.
Yeah.
So, I get that.
I do too. And I think that that's really important for our kids because we live in a world that is so results driven.
And instant gratification,
instant results. And so I think our kids, like my brother was in town this weekend and we were chit-chatting over lunch and he said, T, I think we lived in the greatest, easiest time growing up. And I was like, what makes you say that? And like, that's an interesting observation. He said, my generation, I'm 51, we didn't have big wars. Like even my dad's friends, many of his friends had to go to Vietnam.
Right.
So even my parents' generation did not escape like massive financial and or world catastrophe. Not that, since I've been alive, the market's gone to shit and the oil prices have blah, blah, blah. But like, but like there hasn't been like a massively horrifying or scary world event. And then we also don't live with, like my generation has not lived with this whole like computer, phones, parts where like my kids, I mean, they're looking at their phones. I'm like, does Betsy have a phone, Tom?
She is not going to have a phone until she's like 13.
Oh,
I mean, I'm going to be very adamant about this.
so good.
Now she does have an iPad, but there's nothing on there that would allow her to get on the internet.
Yeah.
Like she can't.
It's not like she's got.
It's basically
TikTok
like
or
games
like,
and learning stuff, and she reads a lot of stuff on there, but there's no access to YouTube or TikTok.
Yes.
Or any social media of any kind.
Well, I think the generations that's been above me had it harder. I think the generation below me. I mean, if somebody wanted to get in contact with me, they had to call my house, and my dad or mom answered the phone. And if I was grounded, there was no FOMO. I didn't know what I was missing.
Right.
I was just babysitting for the neighbors, like watching Love Boat. It's like, I don't know. I look at this world where it's results. It's how many Instagram followers. It's how many likes. It's like you are as good as your last like. You are as good as your last as your post. You're as good. It's just instant gratification. And I think this generation is going to have a more difficult time appreciating the result or the process versus the results. And if you don't like the results, guess what? You quit and you start over with somebody else. I mean, look at the job turnover with the next generation. They don't like something, they just quit.
Yeah.
Like my grandparents worked for IBM for 40 years, and they started at one place, GE,
Well, but at the same time, if people are not happy in their job or if it's depressing, then at least the younger people will change jobs.
Yeah,
if it's not working.
There's a flip side to that. But it's also just appreciating that learning curve.
But I just think that comes from your family of origin.
Oh, do you?
I really do. I think that we learn to be appreciative of what's going on.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
And I think we teach that.
Yeah. I know I tried really hard to do that with my kids. And I do think it does shift their perspective, but I see my kids struggle with things that I've never even thought about. I'm like, why are we worrying about that? And I'm not trying to discount, but I probably am like, wow, I've never had to struggle with that.
But I look back and think about the hippie generation and what my grandparents said about gall-darn hippies, they were just, they thought that it was just Satan, ruining us.
Satan coming out from the graves.
And ruining us, and really it didn't.
They don't seem so bad anymore.
No, they don't.
Actually seems kind of fun.
I know.
Okay, the last one for today. Be careful what you look for. When I played sports, I learned that your body follows your eyes. That's true in all of life. You find out what you go looking for. Look for disappointments. That's what you'll find. Look for joy, beauty, and hope. And that's there too. Your eyes will lead the way.
Yeah, I love that.
I do too.
This is so true. And especially in this political climate right now.
What makes you say that, Tom?
Well, just the simple fact that the people that are so mad about politics, they're seeking out that subject like every day. They want to go on their Twitter or their whatever. They just want to get their phone and they want to go. They want confirmation bias that they're right and everything that they think is right is what everyone else should know and do.
Yeah, and then you can justify your anger or your they're idiots or whatever.
and honestly, some of it may be an algorithm that's putting those subjects in front of their eyes, but I really do think if you're looking for that, you're going to find it.
Yeah. Whatever we water grows.
The way you see it's almost like you see something and you just have this automatic preconceived notion, and so you're going to see what you want to see. But
yes,
man, that statement is really true.
Yeah, it really is. And this There's another advantage to getting older is I just don't really care about most of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll hear somebody
same.
rant and rave about
I don't even
something,
think-
and I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever. It just doesn't. It's not on my agenda. It's not in my value system.
No, not at all for me either.
Yeah, I'm just trying to exercise every day and try to eat okay.
Exactly. And be kind to the people that we love.
And love my people.
Yep.
Be with my
and
people.
work a little bit along.
Yeah,
you know.
little.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of energy around this too. Like whatever we water, it grows.
There's no doubt about that.
You water joy and love and peace and goodness, that will grow. You water bitter, victim, hate, annoyance, put out, that grows too.
It does.
Yes.
It really does.
Okay, well, join us next week. That's our first 6.
Okay, that was fun.
Yeah, we'll be back here next week to finish up the 12 things that 12 life rules that your kids need to understand before they go home. So we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Have an amazing week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.